This is Thu Ho, your host for this live broadcast at NAMM 2019. It is now day 4, it's Sunday, and we have a very special guest here today. We have the great Victor Wooten. And thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you, too.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. And we are live broadcasting this on Facebook as well as on Caffeine TV. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're using one of those platforms, but if you go on caffeine.tv/EnterTalk, you'll be able to interact with us and be able to type up your questions, or if you have any comments or any feelings, I'll be able to look at it on my phone and be able to interact with Victor that way too. So that just adds another dimension to how intimate the internet can become these days and live broadcasting. So Victor, how has NAMM 2019 treated you?
Very well.
Yeah.
NAMM always treats me very well. At the risk of sounding egotistical, NAMM is the one time I get to see what it feels like to be famous. Mm-hmm. You know, because it takes me a while to get from point A to point B.
Yes.
And it's cool.
Yes.
You know, because I'm totally a people person. Mm-hmm. I like to say hello and thank you to everyone, because I really realize I'm a musician without you, but I don't have a career as a musician without you.
Yes.
So these people give me a career, and why would I not want to stop and say thank you for that?
Yeah.
So I try to make time for everyone, but I don't always have the time to make, so I got to keep moving, you know. But NAMM is just 2 or 3 days that I have to be that way, and I love it.
Yes.
Because I love people. So NAMM has treated me well.
Yes. So those of you who are tuning in and those of you out there who are enjoying this, obviously are fans of Victor Wooten and know about his body of work, which is just incredible. But I'd like to go back to the beginning, because this is one of the stories that it just touches my heart every time I hear it. And your fans probably already know it, but I'm sure there are young fans and new fans who are just learning about you. Tell me the story again, please, of how you chose the bass, or how the bass chose you.
Right.
It's a great story.
It is. It's a great story. It reads like fiction, but it's totally true. I'm the youngest of 5 boys, 5 brothers, no sisters.
Yeah.
And my 4 older brothers, Reggie on guitar, who was here at NAMM this weekend actually. Roy, also known as Future Man, with Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. He's a drummer. Rudy, like a lot of people don't know about Rudy, he's a saxophone player. He passed away a lot too early, I should say. He's our saxophone playing brother. And Joseph is the keyboard player. So when I was born, they needed a bass player.
Yeah.
And that was me right away. So, right? True story, but they already knew when they found out they were going to have a baby brother. It was already planned out. So bass was waiting for me. So I've never not played it. You know, I started learning music right away. The same way you learn your native tongue, you learn that right away. I was learning music also right away. And so I played in a band with my 4 brothers. We played as a 5-piece band pretty much my whole life, you know. And so music, of course you work at it and stuff like that, but it came kind of easily because I was just really born into it, and I had 4 mentors to help me along. Yeah.
So how small can they make a bass? Like, was it in your hands at 12 months or what?
No, because see, we have to remember, music's not about an instrument. We're so apt to say, I play bass, I play this. It's not about that. Nobody wants to hear that. They want to hear the music.
Yeah.
The same way we speak through an instrument, but I don't tell you that, oh, I speak mouth, right? I don't name the instrument.
Yes.
I speak a language, and the language is music. So the instrument was insignificant.
Yeah.
But what my brothers did, and I get the credit, I really get a lot of credit for something my brother should get credit for. Because Reggie, who's my oldest brother, the one that actually taught me, he's only 8 years older than me. So if you think of how does an 8-year-old boy get his little brothers, he taught Joseph to play keys also.
Yeah.
How does he get them good enough really quickly that we're doing shows? I was 5 years old when the 5 of us were the opening band for Curtis Mayfield on his Superfly tour. Right?
Incredible.
I get the credit because I was young. But Reggie, he's only 8 years older than me. So when I'm 5 on this tour, he's only 13.
Yes.
Right?
Bass ace, right?
Right. Well, that's what they call me, yeah. But it's because of Reggie. So the thing is that what he did is he put a toy Mickey Mouse guitar in my hand because they could find that small.
Yeah.
But he didn't tell me to play it.
Yes.
They would sit down and play, and of course I would jump in there and play with them, strumming the guitar. So I was really learning music before I learned an instrument. In many cases these days we teach it in reverse.
Yeah, yeah.
Which works, it's just a slower way, right? So I was learning music, but I was learning it while holding a toy.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a couple of years until Reggie actually started showing me where to put my finger to play songs I already knew.
Gotcha.
Right? So a lot of times we're teaching you rules, scales, modes, and things that don't make sense because you have nothing to relate it to. So by the time I was learning where to put my finger, I already knew these songs. Like a baby learning to say milk, they already had milk for years. Milk makes sense.
Yes.
And a lot of times in music we do it in reverse. We teach you scales and things like that before you know the songs that have those scales in them. And again, it works, it's just a slower process. So my brothers, for some reason, were smart at a very early age.
Yeah.
And so I learned to play rather quickly, and I've just never stopped. And again, I get the credit, but I owe the credit to my brothers.
That's incredible. Since we're talking about music education, you know, music education is a very big part of your life.
Yes.
And you hold these camps, and your fans, they already know about your body of work, they've listened to your music, but I think that the education part is so unique.
Sure.
Please tell me more about your camps. Tell me more about how you got into naturalism and
Yes.
how you're able to bridge that gap between nature and music. You know, if I'm one of your students, what is a day of camp like?
Yeah.
You know, at one of your camps.
Yeah. Well, my mother would tell us 5 boys, she would say, what does the world, she'd ask us this question. She would say, what does the world need with just another good musician?
Good people.
Right? She said, what the world needs are good people.
Yes.
Right? And so my real goal of what I'm trying to do is help people become better people, but I do it through music. And music is a safer way to do it. You know, music can address all kinds of issues like racism, equality, inequality, right? Because if you think about it, to play in a band, we have to listen to each other.
Yes.
Right? A band is better when all the instruments are different, not the same. So in music, we celebrate the difference. Oh, you play bass? Oh, I play guitar. Let me play with you.
Yeah.
Right? That's a cool thing, and it happens so naturally. In music, I can address religion through music, and it's still a safe way. So the camps are doing all of that. We're using music to help us become better people. And this is our 20th year.
Wow.
Our 20th year of doing camps in the hills, in the woods of Nashville, Tennessee, just outside of the limits of Nashville, Tennessee. We do camps every month from April through October. We'll do a different camp, a different topic every month.
Wow.
We started with only bass players.
Yeah.
Now we do any instruments. People hear the word camp, they think kids in the summer.
Yes.
But we do them spring through fall for all ages. Most of the camps are ages 15 and up.
That's incredible.
And it's fun. So a typical day, a day is different, but we start by looking at the relationship between music and nature. Right? So anything, and I'll be short about this, but anything that you want to do well, you want to do naturally.
Yes.
In other words, you are a great interviewer, a great host. It doesn't sound like you're working at it. It just flows naturally. Whether I'm learning to walk, I want to end up being natural. When I play music, I don't want to have to work too hard. I want it to flow naturally.
Yes.
So through life, we all have whether we realize it or not, we all have a quest to become natural. But music makes us do music curriculum, the standard music curriculum makes us do the most unnatural thing in an attempt to become natural. And that is to close ourselves off in a room and practice all day.
Yes.
That's what they tell us.
That's what we do.
Right?
Yeah.
If you want to learn a language naturally, why close yourself off in a room? Why not get out and do the natural thing, which is to talk to people?
Yeah.
Right? But music says get in a room and practice until you're good enough. When are we ever good enough? In our own minds, we'll never come out of that room if we have to be good enough before I can play with you.
Yes.
A baby learning a language jams right away.
Yeah.
Right? A baby jams with the professionals in a language, but in music you have to wait.
Yes.
It works again, but it takes too long.
Yeah.
Right? So our process is to become natural, is to use nature, the most natural thing on the planet. Right? Nature becomes our teacher. Nature becomes our biggest schoolroom.
Yes.
And it would take me a little too long to explain how we do it, but to understand that we're using the naturalness of nature. Like a bird doesn't have to go to a conservatory to learn to sing. Right? A squirrel is born with the ability to build a nest. Not the ability, but with the knowledge of how to build a nest.
Yes.
A beaver doesn't have to practice building a dam. They're born with it.
Yeah.
We're humans. What are we born with? Oh, so much.
Yeah, the talent to love.
So much. But a
and
lot of
connect.
times it gets taught
Yeah,
out of us.
that's
All right?
beautiful.
So my goal is to bring your naturalism back, not my naturalism, yours. It's still there,
Yeah.
but we've kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that. When I started learning jazz, I had already had the technique of a classically trained soprano. But once I got into jazz, my mentors would all say, you know, your technique is beautiful, you have so much style, but I'm not connecting with you. And that's because I would just practice in my room and
Sure.
get the style just perfect,
Sure,
but
sure.
I wasn't out there connecting with people.
Yeah, and that's the key to becoming natural, is to connect with other people who are natural.
Yeah.
And you don't get that in a room by yourself. Right? And every style of music, I think, has a piece of the whole puzzle. Music is bigger than any style, right?
Yeah.
And classical is wonderful, but the process limits you. In other words, not in everywhere, and I don't mean to make classical people mad, because I'm jealous of you because you can read anything, and I can't, right? Jazz and funk, they teach you to improvise.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So a lot of us who can play in the nightclubs, we have that ability, but we don't have your ability to read. You have that ability to read, but improvising might scare a classical person.
Absolutely.
Why does there have to be a difference? Right? Think about when you learn your language, you learn to improvise and read.
Yeah.
Why does there have to be one or the other? And it's not the student's fault, it's us teachers' fault. We teach jazz as if it's different than classical.
Yes.
Right?
That's
They're
true.
both ways of expressing each other. If we make expression the point, not jazz the point, jazz is not the point. It's just a way of expression. The same way German is a way of expressing yourself. English, right? The key is expression.
Yes.
We just want to express ourselves through music. And if we make that the point, it'll narrow the differences that we make between jazz. As if to play jazz, you have to learn new notes.
Yeah.
Jazz doesn't
No.
have a 13th note.
No.
Right? It's not that cool that there's a 13th note. It's still the same stuff. But when we separate it, right, it makes it more difficult, and it doesn't have to be.
That's so wonderful. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
these words
too.
of wisdom.
Thank
I know
you.
that you have time constraints. We're just so privileged to have you here today. Would you happen to have any social contacts, media links that you would like to tell our audience so that they can tune in and check you out, read more about you, read more about the camps that
Thank you. I appreciate
you have?
it. Thank you for the opportunity to let me even be here and say all of this.
Thank you.
But the easiest way to find out just about everything I'm doing is to go to my website, which is Victor Wooten, WOOTEN.com. And then you can get a link from there to all the camps, to the books, and the things like that. And you know, one thing I will add is at every camp, I am definitely not the only instructor. I don't want people to have my view.
Yeah.
I want you to have a ton of different views, and then because that leaves you having to make up your own mind, which is what we want anyway. So, you know, check out the camps and know that you're going to get a wide variety of different things to look at. But as much as possible, we do it in the most natural way that we can find, and which is not always in a classroom.
Yes.
Classroom is needed, though. You got to get in that room a little bit, but you got to get out of the room a lot, and that's what we do.
Thank you so very
I
much for
appreciate
coming
it.
on in.
Thank you.
Victor Wooten, everyone.
Thu Ho, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You've been watching EnterTalk Media on Facebook live stream as well as on Caffeine TV /EnterTalk. Please continue to watch. We have more interviews coming. Interact with us, ask questions. This is just wonderful. So thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, audience, for being here today.